The first mystery of Pom Poko. Why did Hayao Miyazaki cry? I'll tell you the essence of Pom Poko. In my theory, the plot of Pom Poko is essentially the same as the plot of Blade Runner. That's basically all you need to remember from today's lecture. Pom Poko is actually Blade Runner. You can see the same theme from front and back. Front is Blade Runner. The protagonists in both movies are non-humans who want to become humans and are rejected. They eventually terrorize people or try to blend into human society. If you tell that story while lifting your eyebrows looking serious, then it becomes Blade Runner. But if you smile and joke about it, it becomes Pom Poko. Replicants are made identical to humans. The difference is that replicants have no empathy. They use others without hesitation, like how kind Sebastian saves the life of replicant Pris, only to be used by her. They don't enter into others' emotions. But one replicant, Rachel, visits Deckard to find out whether she's a replicant or not. And when Deckard gets injured trying to save Rachel, she hugs him. Deckard is confused and can no longer distinguish humans and replicants. But since Deckard is a Blade Runner, he has to do his job, which is to find replicants and kill them. That's the basic plot. Meanwhile, in Pom Poko, humans sing to a raccoon and say, "Let's play." Just like that, we unconsciously treat raccoons like humans. That makes the raccoons, who are originally just wild animals, become mysterious beings that yearn for human culture and do naughty things. The raccoons in Pom Poko and the replicants in Blade Runner share the same sad destiny as quasi-humans, who can't become the real humans. Shokichi is the protagonist of Pom Poko. He's always looked up to human lives since childhood. So he used to play on a swing by himself at night, or go to see Japanese Dolls Festival and admire it. He yearns for humans and wants to become one so badly. On the other hand, Gonta, a huge raccoon who looks middle-aged, says, "I'll kill the humans who stole our home," and becomes radical. Shokichi's other friend, Ponkichi, says, "I just want to live away from humans as a raccoon." Shokichi later finds out that Ponkichi wished to live as a raccoon for a long time. Now one day, they find out about a large residential development in Tama region, which gives Shokichi an excuse to study and transform into his beloved humans. He's even determined to refuse estrus in spring. He tells his mate Kiyo, "We should stay chaste eternally." It sounds like modernist, or should I say Christian thought. It's a Christian idea that being a human means to control animal instinct and act rationally. Shokichi tries to be more human. That's how hard Shokichi tries to deny his identity as a raccoon and become a human. But regardless of his wish, humans pursue the development of Tama New Town, pushing the raccoons towards extinction. The extremists like Gonta use their transformation skills to scare the construction crews, kill 3 of them, and injure more. But just like the rebels of replicants in Blade Runner, the rebels of the raccoons don't impact society. And just like Deckard, Shokichi escapes with Kiyo and decides to blend into human society. So thematically, Blade Runner and Pom Poko are almost identical, but the difference is that Takahata directed it in a way that doesn't look tragic. It's sad how the raccoons are so desperate to become humans, but the humans go, "Look, raccoons, can I feed them?" They only think of them as cute animals. There's a huge misunderstanding between them. So to answer the first mystery, I think this is one element that made Miyazaki cry. Or maybe he was moved by the cruel destiny of the raccoons that seemed to be the metaphor of how the labor dispute, which he dedicated his youth to, ended up. But what makes Miyazaki cry the most is his genuine, everlasting, masochistic love toward Takahata, who is extremely sadistic toward Miyazaki. Miyazaki sympathized with the raccoons as he was also desperate for recognition from Takahata, but couldn't get it. I'm not sure whether Takahata knew Miyazaki's feelings or not. But either way, Pom Poko becomes a movie that hurts Miyazaki's feelings. As I said, Pom Poko is a criticism against the fantasy genre. Pom Poko is anti-fantasy. What I mean by that is, so fantasy portrays unrealistic things like adventure, magic, or dragons as if they exist in that world. Miyazaki is good at fantasy. He's so skilled at depicting fictional airplanes or valleys like they are real. Takahata completely denies them. Takahata believes that fantasy is a lie that convinces the viewers to believe it's real. A little bit of fantasy is okay for both children and adults because that can ease their lives. But if society is full of fantasy, it's rather harmful. This was Takahata's claim before he made Pom Poko. Animation gives children dreams in a world without dreams, like in a post-war era. Fantasy is useful in such a poor period. Then, fantasy is good. But now, fantasy is everywhere. Parents try to make children believe in Santa Claus. Disneyland ads say, never give up dreams. It's too much. The world has had enough of it. What's the point of us making more fantasy? Sugar was good when people were hungry and thin. That's not the case anymore. So why make more stuff with so much sugar in it? However, we've become addicted to sugar, so we keep demanding more sugar, more fantasy. Miyazaki's crackerjack fantasy films do that to the utmost. With his amazing skills and talent, his audience believes in what he depicts. Takahata said no to fantasy films through Pom Poko, that they're everywhere now and harmful for people to watch. You can really see Takahata's antithesis against Miyazaki's fantasy movies. For example, during Operation Goblin, you see some Ghibli characters among the goblins. I mentioned this to you in the other lecture, but again, Operation Goblin doesn't affect human society. People watch it and say, that was fun. The raccoons expected this operation to affect the humans into canceling the Tama New Town development. But people saw it as a show. Miyazaki and Takahata worked for Toei Animation, whose slogan was to change the society. Ghibli inherited it, and Takahata completely denied it. Takahata's got a point. Look at some of Miyazaki's movies. Nausicaa and Totoro told children to go into nature more and play there. Raputa said people have to live with the earth. But the children only rush to the movie theaters in joy. Their parents show those movies to them every day. And they tell Miyazaki, oh, thank you so much. My child behaves so well when I show them Raputa. It's so ironic. On the contrary, Taiko, a character Takahata created, lives along the flow of time, but only the characters Miyazaki has created goes against the flow. Takahata is saying, my characters are moving forward because they are confronting reality, but yours are all facing backwards. That's Takahata's way of making a message. Providing tremendously well-made fantasy anime to children today is only harmful. That's the powerful message from Takahata to Miyazaki. That would be the only reason why Takahata put them in the movie. Again, Mamoru Oshii criticized Pom Poko. He's complaining, so Pom Poko is about preservation of nature. Then draw nature more beautifully. But for Takahata, drawing nature excessively beautiful is like using artificial sweetener. Nature is beautiful if it's drawn accurately. If people don't find it beautiful, it's their fault. Miyazaki depicts nature like water drops from a tree or on moss to make them look beautiful. The forest spirit steps on the ground and the flowers bloom from there. You can see they are beautiful, but they aren't real. They're an artificial beauty, not a natural beauty. Kids go into the real nature and be like, this isn't like Ghibli. Isn't there somewhere more beautiful like a Ghibli movie? Then they go to see a touristic landscape and say, wow, this is like a Ghibli movie. Takahata made an essential criticism. Is that true appreciation of nature? It can't be helped. That's Takahata. How should I say it? He denied not only Miyazaki, but also what he had previously made. He always looked for something new. But Miyazaki thinks differently. He denies half of what he has done in the past. But he's motivated to make something greater than his last work. He tries to pile success on top of success. Takahata thought, nature is beautiful as it is, so no exaggeration is necessary, like beautiful movements and depictions. That spoils the beauty of real nature. People comparing beautiful sceneries to Ghibli is not a compliment, because we've provided the public too much fake beauty. That's all they can refer to when they appreciate nature. Communists called religions opium. Likewise, Takahata called fantasy opium and said the role of anime was to rescue people from opium addiction. But he was like denying what Miyazaki had done for Ghibli, making his movies hits, feeding all Ghibli staff including Takahata himself, and creating the budget for Takahata's movies. Then, why did Miyazaki cry? Well, he cried because he was actually happy to be completely denied by Takahata. Miyazaki thought, that's my Takahata. Miyazaki ran away from his Marxist nature, in a way, by making Porco say, you humans deal with politics. For a pig like me, fantasy is good enough. Miyazaki was acting cool. That was Miyazaki's evasion of dealing with real-world issues. But Takahata didn't let him escape. Takahata was like, yo, wait a minute! You know, he was in a lecturing mode. I know the audience doesn't want our serious anime. Anime films are mere entertainment for couples and families who only want fantasy that can purify their feelings. They endlessly want opium. But you and I must never compromise. We have to keep making proper anime. Miyazaki had been feeling sad, thinking Takahata would never bother to get mad at him. But now, Takahata is giving him a straightforward lecture. That touched Miyazaki's heart and cried. That's how I see it. After that, Miyazaki changed his attitude. That's how he got to make Princess Mononoke. Otherwise, going from a fantasy movie, Porco Rosso, to more serious Princess Mononoke would be an unnatural shift of style. Suzuki may not have necessarily understood what was really going on in Miyazaki's mind. Suzuki wrote in Ghibli's textbook, the story is a metaphor of the history of Toei animation. You can tell which character is who. Gonta is Miyazaki. Shokichi is Takahata. I won't forget the day the film completed. Takahata, Miyazaki, and I were sitting next to each other while watching the film. Miyazaki was crying from the beginning to the end because it was about the youth of Miyazaki and Takahata. Takahata is good at this type of metaphor. I mean, sure, maybe there was a metaphor, but I don't think Miyazaki is a type of guy who cries just because of that. The true significance of Pom Poko is that it denies the fantasy genre, which is quite rare. Blade Runner is designed in a way that the audience believes in the future the movie portrays. But when people watch Pom Poko, no one says, oh yeah, raccoons used to transform into people and trick us. Or they actually still live among us in the form of humans. It means that Pom Poko doesn't work as a fantasy. Things that are depicted in that world aren't what we see as real or good or admirable. They rather seem strange. The two films are the opposite sides of a coin, front and back. In both films, non-human beings have love and hate towards humans. and they're destroyed when they approach the humans too closely. That's why I think Pom Poko is actually Blade Runner. Okay, I already told you this is all you need to remember. Pom Poko is Blade Runner. Okay, next. Well, I said in the last lecture that you see tons of raccoons' testicles and scrotums in Pom Poko. But Takahata would say a proper anime about raccoons doesn't exclude such images.